come on. Apparently we're having technical difficulties. Temporarily. No, we're still broadcasting and recording.
Internet's not...
But it, started recording again. Okay, well, we started recording again. I guess this is part...
Welcome!
Welcome to J&TRE Review Everything Live, Part 2, Episode 13. We're talking about Tank Girl.
Oh, my goodness.
Tank Girl, she's a punk. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland. There are kangaroo people. There's a lot of zaniness. The comic book was illustrated and written by a couple Australian guys. The illustrator later went on to do the characters for the Gorillas.
Oh, okay.
Interesting, fun fact.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
now that I'm thinking about it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so the comic books were very zany. They were very surrealist kind of stuff. You know, they had zany stuff. And I think for what they could do with a live action movie, they did make it kind of goofy and zany. And why do you keep doing that? It's making me nervous.
That I'm going to shoot you with an invisible shotgun?
I don't want to get shot with an invisible shotgun.
No,
if I invisible die, you know who did it.
I just have two asides about Tank Girl.
Oh, God, okay.
Because first off, I've never seen the comic, really. I've seen stills from it, I've seen images from it, but I've never read it. So it's hard for me to really be a good judge there. However, I can say two things definitively about Tank Girl. Okay? Number one, Malcolm McDowell is awesome in that, like he's awesome in everything else.
He chews the scenery
in
a movie like that, the movie's kind of goofy, it's kind of silly. You know, there are kangaroo people. One of those kangaroo people is Ice-T.
And that's the side number two. This movie shows you what $1 million can buy. What did $1 million buy? Ice-T in a kangaroo suit. Ice-T in a kangaroo suit.
So if you fall into $1 million, think, hey, I could get Ice-T. Well, maybe not now.
No.
Inflation's
increased. It might be 1.7.
If you have $1 billion and $1 million, then you could buy a time machine and then go back to the 90s and make Ice-T wear a kangaroo suit for a movie, and then you can call it Tank Girl, and just keep it's a causality loop.
Right.
You probably have already done it in the future.
So it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Right. No, interestingly enough, tangent again from Ice-T as the Kangaroo Man, my favorite thing on VH1 ever.
Okay.
It was the Ice-T behind the music. And they talked to him about his involvement in Tank Girl. I'm going to paraphrase here. This isn't the exact quote. And I'm going to do it in an offensive accent. No, I'm going to do it just as my accent.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people think that I'm a sucker for being in Tank Girl, Ice-T says, but they paid me $1 million to put on that kangaroo suit. So who's the sucker now?
Exactly.
I guess it's me, Ice. I guess it's me.
If somebody gave you $1 million to wear a kangaroo suit in a movie,
I would wear the dumbest suit in a movie for $1 million. I'm talking Theodore Rex dumb, you guys. Like, I would be that guy. I'd be that T-Rex for $1 million.
I would be a Goomba from Super Mario Brothers movie for $1 million. Like waltzing in the elevator, the whole kit, the whole caboodle, the whole shebang.
It's a bad taste in my mouth right now.
But yeah. Let's. We got it because it started recording again. We got about 10 minutes left, I think.
We got a lot of shit to get through in 10 minutes.
So let's do this one really quick, and then we'll go to because we got the questions. We gotta stay loyal to our viewers who ask us questions. Let's get the last question. This is the last question from the Facebook questions. Questions. What 80s Saturday morning cartoon are they going to make a live-action CGI movie of next? AKA, how is Hollywood going to rape my childhood more? Josh Reines, of course. Like that.
I'd be really interested in Captain Planet as a movie. Because that'd be just silly. I'd like Don Cheadle to play the role. Surely.
Yeah. There was a Funny or Die sketch.
Right.
It was great. I loved it.
And No, Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos. Mr. T and the T-Force.
But that's like the world serpent.
It's like a Mobius.
Like you can't.
No.
80s. I don't know. They seem to be going further back now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you have so we had Alvin and the Chipmunks, we had the Smurfs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've had like your.
Do you think they'll ever make a Snorks movie?
That's probably. But they keep going further back and back. Think about this. They spent $250 million to make the Lone Ranger. How old is that fucking property? And I think that's on the list too. Let's talk about that.
That's connected. The Lone Ranger guys.
That. We'll get back to the '80s cartoon thing, but the Lone Ranger.
This is interesting.
Ridiculous.
They are now estimating that the Lone Ranger has lost Disney between $160 and $190 million.
Million.
Wow. That's such a loss. And you tell me, guys, how did a cowboy movie cost that much money? What the fuck did you do?
Just shoot.
I don't know, because I didn't see it, and I don't think any of you saw it either.
Yeah, I don't know. Just shoot in Italy. Shoot in Italy.
Dynamite incentives, I hear.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, and that's the other big thing is they're
guys. I got bad news.
We talked about that last.
The movie industry is totally collapsing.
Imploding. Well, it's the same thing that we're seeing everywhere else. And mark our words, okay? Mark them right now. Unless there's some sort of movie and video game reform. Unless those companies say, all right, we need to stop funneling so much money into these. They're doing it themselves. They're creating the bubble themselves. It's the same with the movies. There's a huge influx of really expensive blockbuster movies that came out this year that are losing, hand over fist, a shit ton of money. And the reason is that they think that people will keep paying more money for movies. Mm-hmm. You
will, guys, right? You don't already think that movie ticket prices are outrageous, right?
There's no way that you can make more money up here. It befuddles me to no end to see movies like The Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger, who basically no one under 80 has nostalgia for, mm-hmm. in a big budget movie with Johnny Depp. Why?
Didn't need to happen. It didn't.
You could try new IP. They're gonna dig further and further back. We're probably gonna have they did. I don't know. He-Man. Nicky Mantic said He-Man. They already did it. Dolph Lundgren. It's the best movie ever.
I was gonna say Thundercats. People have been threatening a Thundercats movie for a long time, and I think it's just an inevitability at this point.
Seth MacFarlane is gonna play fucking Rhino, and it's just gonna be the worst piece of shit ever. Sorry, Seth MacFarlane, but
Brave Star. That's what I would like to see. A live-action, big-budget Brave Star movie.
Yeah, but
Brave Star. You guys remember Brave Star? No.
There also seems to be a push with taking properties like that, and kind of moving them into really stupid positions. With the Smurfs, you have Smurf Village and stuff, and the cartoon was based on the Smurfs and Gargamel and his cat trying to eat the Smurf or get Smurfs and the berries and whatever.
5 internets to anybody who tells me what Gargamel's cat's name is. I already know. I'm sure Jake does if he thinks about it, but I want to hear you guys say it. Okay, so yeah, I'd say the Marshall Brave Star, Thundercats. Those are my picks for the next big remake. Wednesdays. Do you know what Wednesdays are, guys? Well, according to some researchers who actually found a way to try to check this out, they figured out that Wednesday is the best day to drink wine. More wine is consumed on Wednesdays and more often by more people. Yeah. So Wednesdays for wine.
But it can't be wine Wednesdays.
It cannot be wine Wednesdays. You know why?
Do you know why?
Because it's Werewolf Wednesdays. Ow! Werewolf Wednesdays, watch Wolf Cop when it comes out.
Yeah, Wolf Cop.
We're going to mention Wolf Cop, I think, probably every episode going forward until it comes out.
Wolf Cop.
And concerning Wolf Cop, if you haven't watched it yet, look it up on the Googles. Look, or your Bings.
On your Bings or your web crawler, your Jeeves.
Your
Alta Vista.
Web crawler? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, check it out, and you will see, as we have seen, and and you can quote me on this. You can quote me on this.
Get ready.
It is the most highly awaited import from Canada since Hobo with a Shotgun. We are anticipating it so much. Hobo with a Shotgun was incredible. This is going to be probably at least as good, if not better, because werewolves. Werewolf Wednesday. Okay. Man of the week, Jake. It's your turn. Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, got it. Man or woman, the person of the week. Who is it, Jake? Tell us about it.
Okay. The person of the week, Todd McFarlane.
Why Todd McFarlane, Jake?
Well, because Todd McFarlane basically said, well, they're making all these DC movies, they're making all these Marvel movies, they have Marvel movies booked up to 2021. That's not a joke. That is the truth. Marvel has a roster of Marvel-based movies up through 2021. The future. It's crazy. But here's the deal. Todd McFarlane wants in. And he wants in bad. And when Todd McFarlane wants in, you gotta give Todd McFarlane what he wants. And Todd McFarlane is my person of the week for basically just not even pussyfooting around it. Just like, you guys, what about Image?
What about Image, Todd?
Well, I tell you what. Image,
really?
Well, here's the deal. Walking Dead is from Image. So they already have a blockbuster TV show.
Hey, someone should make a movie or a TV show about that.
They're also making a TV show based on Chew, which, if you haven't heard of what Chew is, it is a detective story about a guy who has basically like telepathic ability, or it's more like
extrasensory.
He eats stuff, and when he eats stuff, he can tell where the food came from, who it came in contact with, all that stuff. He has visions of.
Well, no, hold on. Can he eat things that aren't food?
Yes. Well, in the very first issue, he eats a finger.
Ooh.
That somebody finds, and then he finds out like who it's from and what's going on with the person that it was attached to, and like that kind of stuff. He's a detective, and then he works for the FDA because in the original, in the first issue, basically like swine flu and all that has become a world epidemic in the comic. So the FDA is akin to like the FBI at this point. Like the real chicken and real beef are not sold anymore. Like it's all synthesized stuff because there's so many like fast food born diseases and stuff.
Sure.
So he's a member of the FDA, which is hilarious. He's a detective. They're making that into a show. I believe it's also for AMC. That's another Image comic. If you're talking about like the older Image comics, when you think of Image comics, you think of like Spawn, The Max, Youngblood, Cyberforce, like all those.
I cannot wait for a Youngblood movie. All those characters are so original and interesting. No.
But yeah, I mean, in later years, in the early 2000s, Image really kicked it off. I mean, we did get The Walking Dead out of that. Also, I know that one fan favorite is, and I haven't read that much of it, but I believe it was Invincible. Invincible. It was about a superhero named Invincible, and I don't know very much about it beyond that.
Right.
But it was something that people really liked. So.
Well, here's the other thing that I think bears mentioning. When you're talking about DC and Marvel, and relating to Image, the big beef that Image creators had with Marvel and DC was how much control they wanted, right? So it's like, let's go make our own comic company where we're going to be in charge, and we're going to call no man Mister. But that's the problem, see, because now you're not like tied with any sort of like larger media organization. Marvel's got Disney. DC's got Warner Brothers.
They have the outlets in order to do that.
Right. The only and because there's so many like ownership issues at Image, I don't think you'd be able to have an Image shared universe almost at all.
And recognizability is another big one too. I mean, of all the comics that I've talked about for Image, unless you're into comic books, you probably never heard of it.
Right.
But people have heard of Captain America. People have heard of Thor. People have heard of Iron Man.
What about Savage Dragon?
I don't know. I like Savage Dragon, but yeah,
he's a dragon.
He had a cartoon for a while.
I remember that.
Yeah, I
remember that.
It was good. I liked it.
Okay.
What should you have for dinner? Beef, because that's what's for dinner. And who controls Bartertown? I do.
No, it's not you. It's
no question.
It's the. But he's just well, I mean, he's
no.
Okay.
It's me.
And Nikki Manti is correct. That is Azrael. Azrael is Gargamel's cat. Yeah. Good job. Right, you win 5 internets, bing, Nikki. Bing. Congratulations.
All right, so that's I don't know.
I think we're about wrapped up here.
Yeah, so we're gonna stop the recording. We'll stick around for a little bit.
Well, I can't. I gotta.
Oh, okay.
Cool. But thanks.
We'll
explain more for you people who have bravely shown up here this Wednesday evening. Jake will tell you all about it.
We'll hang out for a bit here. How about 15 minutes after the recording? And if you're watching the recording and you wanted to be here for the 15 minutes afterwards,
oh man, we're gonna talk about such great stuff after we stop this broadcast. And you should have been here.
You should have been there at 10 o'clock if you were able.
Because Wednesdays, 10 o'clock.
We're about to talk. Right.
Okay.
Master Blaster, who's that? I remember.
Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
What the hell?
So, for Jake and Trev Review Everything Live, I'm Trev.
And I'm Jake.
And thanks for watching.
Yeah.